Ladies and gentlemen, we are joined today by the 2024 Indy NXT Series champion, Louis Foster. Louis, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
Foster did not have the start he wanted to this season, and then he took over.
Louis Foster absolutely dominating.
Louis Foster is the 2024 INDY NXT By Firestone champ. Louis Foster caps off his championship season in style. Win number 8. This young man might be a future star in INDYCAR.
Coming off a day of everybody telling you how great you are.
Yeah.
Must be a nice feeling.
It bloats the head for sure, but yeah.
Were you the only Indy NXT driver that was at the celebration? Did second and third get to get a trophy and give a speech, or just you?
They didn't do a speech or a trophy. I believe Jacob was there, second place. I don't think Kaya was, but yeah, Jacob was there, and then I think that was the only other driver, yeah.
Is it nice kind of being in that environment with all these IndyCar drivers getting their, accolades and trophies and everything, and it's like, hey, I'm part of that group too? Like, is it kind of a cool feeling?
Yeah, it is, and during the evening, during, I think it was Scott's speech, he kind of shouted me out, which was quite nice.
I see the likes of Louis come up the ranks as well. It's really exciting. I think all us drivers now watch the Indy NXT series and to even learn a little bit on the ovals as well. And
it's nice to be in that environment, and be around the people that you're hoping to spend the next long career with, you know what I mean? However long it may be. But yeah, it's nice to be there and kind of starting to be a part of the family in a way, and kind of get to know people a bit better.
And how well do you know the IndyCar crew? I mean, obviously, driving for Andretti Autosport, you've got a sister parent team in the IndyCar series, and Indy NXT is at most of the races. You're in and around the paddock. Which of the IndyCar drivers have you kind of had the most contact with and maybe have a bit of a friendship with? Yeah,
I mean, obviously with the Andretti side of things, we're still, it's the same team, but it's, it's different.
It's
each
side. You got your own jobs to do.
Exactly. Everyone's got their own stuff to do. So, but no, I mean, I would say probably closest drivers to me are Callum Ilott, obviously being British, known him for quite a few years now, and then probably Lundgaard and Rasmussen, those two. Obviously Rasmussen I raced against in 23, and then we've just become quite good friends since then, and then Lundgaard, yeah, just good lad, so kind of those three really.
Good lad, is he really though?
Well, okay, good lad is a push. He's what do you say nice? He's a fun boy.
He's manageable.
Yeah.
Manageable, yeah. Okay, so for a lot of people, Indy NXT is a great thing to follow to a certain extent. I'm sure they've heard the name, but I'm sure they don't know a ton about you. So why don't you just give everybody a little bit of a history lesson? Obviously born and raised in England, started racing over in Europe. Kind of give us a little bit of your European racing background before you made the move over to the States.
Yeah, so to start off, I was god-awful in karts.
Started at 9?
Oh, no, 5.
5?
Even longer to even get better, and I still sucked.
Wow.
So, yeah, no, I only did cadets. So funny story. My dad wouldn't let me progress past cadet racing because he thought it was too dangerous.
Ah, okay.
He's now put me in IndyCar, so
yeah, it's a weird
big
dynamic.
Jump for him. Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
But no, so we just did cadet stuff, and we did that as a fun family thing. My dad, my brother, and myself on like weekends.
Because your dad was a driver. He raced in some capacity, did he not?
Yeah, gentleman.
Right.
Gentleman driver. He did it for fun. I mean, he was a rally driver. That was what he did back in 80s, I want to say. And he was pretty good at it, at least he says. I don't know, that's what he says. But he was pretty good at it from my understanding.
Yeah.
And then he switched to road stuff kind of in late 2000s, early 2010s, doing British GT and touring cars, and then both in the UK. And then, yeah, once I kind of got to the age where I was old enough to jump into cars, that's when he kind of took a back step and just started he was done with his racing, he wanted to see what I could do, basically.
And then you went through F4, you went through F3 over in Europe. What was the kind of deciding factor that made you kind of look stateside for continuing your career? Yeah,
I think we first started out with Ginetta Juniors, which is basically like a Mazda MX-5.
Right.
Pretty much. It's a small car, not much horsepower. Really fun series in the UK.
Many drivers come from that.
Yeah, Jamie's come from it, Chadwick, Norris, I think Russell might have done a few. There's a lot of drivers that have come through that series. But anyway, we did that, and I was 14 at the time, and we were planning on doing like 3 or 4 years in it, because again, we didn't really know how good I was. I wasn't great in cars, so we weren't expecting to be, the best in cars either. But we basically won the championship in our first year. And at 15 years old, there's only one championship you can do in the UK, aside from Ginetta Juniors, which is F4.
Right.
So we were kind of forced into single-seaters in a way. It was never really our intention. And then, yeah, again, we did F4, finished third, and it's like, well, why do it again? What are we going to learn? Let's go and do F3 now. You just kind of snowballed from there. I think at that point, once we kind of started doing F4 and F3, I kind of realized that, could have a career in this. I think up until that point, like obviously it was like a really fun thing to do. I really enjoyed it and I wanted to be good at it, but like I was still fully focused on getting good grades, going to university, getting a good, that was still my focus.
Yeah, you weren't the 5-year-old that woke up dreaming of being a professional racing
No,
driver.
I wouldn't say I was.
Racing was a hobby. It was fun to do with your dad.
Exactly.
And,
So I think once we kind of got to that Formula 3 area, we kind of realized that, I can probably have a career here, like if I put the work in. So that's when I think school, I still finished my education, but I think school took a bit of a back burner and we kind of really pushed the racing stuff. And then, when we were looking at the landscape of driving in general and where seats are and where's available drives in the world, IndyCar just stood out. The road to Indy ladder, without the prize money, I wouldn't be here today, that's for sure. So that's like a huge thing for me. I think IndyCar racing is the best racing in the world. I grew up as a Formula 1 boy, obviously. I think the first 500 I watched was probably 2022.
Okay.
Because I've heard about it before, but seeing it live was there. So I was always been a Formula 1 boy, but since coming over here, I've now really appreciated like actually what you guys have got is special. And now I don't even really watch, too much Formula 1. Every IndyCar race, I'm like, even though I've just done my own race, I'm like, where's the pit crew? Where's the pit box? I want to go watch the whole thing. I want to understand it. It's like, it's still like really, I feel like a little kid in a candy store. So.
No, it's great. I mean, obviously the series does a great job. You talk to a lot of drivers that come over from Europe, even ones that have come from Formula 1, and they'll be like, no, this is actually much more enjoyable. It's a more fun car to drive. The racing's better. So I can certainly see the appeal. So you come over, you were, 18 when you moved to the States?
Yep.
And what was that transition like?
Honestly, not too bad, because I think the difficult thing was it was during COVID, so my parents couldn't come with me, so they just sent me off with like 3 massive suitcases. With 2 of the wheels didn't work.
Good luck, kid.
No, pretty much, honestly. I mean, obviously my mum was a bit upset, but my dad was like, go on. But it wasn't too bad. I mean, I went to university in California for a little bit until I realized that wasn't going to work out.
What were you taking?
Like undeclared business.
Generic.
It was like first year, yeah.
It was the exact same thing. It's like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to do engineering.
If I said neuroscience, you'd just lose your mind, so no. Business. But yeah, honestly, I've kind of found the transition pretty easy because I think the thing is like I wanted to do it. It was a thing that I really wanted to do, so I just made it work. Do you know what I mean? I think living in Los Angeles was maybe difficult for racing sometimes.
Just because you're on the West Coast and most of it's not, or?
That, yes. I think the first 3 months I was living in America, I was still finishing my Euroformer championship up. So I was going from California to like Monza,
right?
And then a week back in school, and then another week. I was doing a European trip every other week, and it was like,
that's tough. Yeah,
it was a lot. And then once we kind of started Indy Pro, a lot of traveling, but I think just like, Los Angeles is a very, vibrant city, and there's a lot going on, and sometimes it's not the best for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, easy to get distracted in a city like that.
Pretty much.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, well, let's fast forward a little bit. Let's get to 2024.
Yep.
So you signed with Andretti to do Indy NXT, and you proceed to what I would classify as, I don't know, trounce, demoralize, aggressively beat down the competition over the season. How do you rate your year?
Obviously good. Can always be better.
I mean, not much better though.
No, but there was mistakes I made throughout the year that, at the end of the day, like we did the job, like championship's done, I'm super happy, super proud of the team. Everyone works on all cylinders all year.
Was it 8 wins on the year?
8 wins. But I mean, there's a few little mistakes at the end of the day. It doesn't really matter, obviously learn from those. But I mean, I think, ever since I first came over to Andretti after winning Indy Pro, I'm just the same crew, it's the same engineer, same team, and I think the ability to have a second year in it, because I was looking at IndyCar in 2020 for this year. I was looking at it because, like in 2023, we were the best qualifier. I was the fastest driver on my lap. Just didn't have the experience in the races to kind of fight for a championship last year. So I was looking at IndyCar, but I'm glad I did a second year of Indy NXT because now I enter a much better driver than I would have been had I gone into IndyCar this year. But I think just kind of a testament to the whole team's way of going about things. We looked at my entire year last year kind of debriefed it almost and just looked at every single qualifying session, race session, practice session, what was wrong, what can we do better, what were the key takeaways from every race weekend, car-wise, driver-wise, everything, and then kind of went into this year very confident in knowing what we need to do better. Because this is the first time I've done a championship back-to-back.
2 years in a row, yeah.
So it was
Makes
like
such a difference.
Yeah, and I was like, if I'm not going to take advantage of that, then I'm an idiot. So I'm glad we did. And then obviously, yeah, once the kind of the ball started rolling for our season, it kind of never stopped.
One of the things you said about that transition to Indy Next was you spoke about the physicality of the car, how it kind of took you by surprise a little bit. What was the main element of getting into that car that kind of took you back from that side?
Yeah, I think just like when I talk to people in Europe about the Indy NXT car and explain it to them, the way I say it is like, Dallara's built this chassis, they've put these tires on it, and they've gone, right, we reckon, Dallara being a European company, we reckon you should give it like 320 horsepower.
Yeah.
And then you guys like, 450.
That's not how we do it here.
The thing has like a ridiculous amount of power for the amount of grip it has, so it's
Right.
a real beast to get a hand of, which trains you so well for IndyCar.
Right.
IndyCar is still a really difficult step to make in Europe against really, really competitive drivers. But like, Indy NXT is definitely the best championship in the world you can do to prepare you for IndyCar. I think better than anything else, better than Formula One. Like Indy NXT just gives you that understanding of you've got to rag these things. Because you've got to rag the IndyCars as well a little bit, not as much, but you still need to be aggressive with them. Whereas, in Europe it's very different like that. It's just all of this.
Yeah, and the tires a lot to do with that too, right?
Yes, exactly.
In Europe, everybody's
Pirellis, yeah.
Yeah, playing the tire game. Was there a point in the season where you felt like all the work that you'd done in the off season, everything you'd learned from last year, sitting with your engineers, all that, where it sort of clicked because you went through a phase there of just knocking off incredible results, kind of few races in. Was there a turning point for you, or did you just kind of hit the ground running in St. Pete and feel like, yeah, I think we got this?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, as you know, you're a driver. You can't get in a car with any doubts. You always enter the car thinking, I'm the best driver here. If it all goes my way, I will win. That's just the way everyone thinks, right? So yeah, I was pretty confident from preseason testing. I mean, we were fast all preseason testing, and then yeah, St. Pete had a few issues. We got red flagged in my lap in qualifying, which would have been like a pole lap, but it is what it is. It's racing. And then obviously Barber, we had the electronics issue where I couldn't practice or qualify, and then only just got out in the race at the back. But then we went from 21st to 5th, which was a track like Barber.
Tough to pass.
It was a fun race, and that's an onboard that I was like making sure I got from the team. So yeah, and then yeah, the only other race that was bad, which was my worst result of the year, was IMS race 1, where I just had front wing damage and I had to box for it, which was annoying. But after that, yeah, it was just first and seconds for the rest of the year. So I feel like there wasn't like a turning point in the year. It was just kind of like the first 3 rounds just kind of didn't really go to plan, which is just racing. So I never really got worried about it because I knew, again, like on my day, as long as we stopped having bad luck, which, it always turns, we'd be fine.
Do you almost feel, or have you ever had the feeling, throughout this year, especially at the tail end when it was obvious it was going your way, and then when you eventually did seal it up, that you almost wish it was a closer battle? I know drivers love winning, right? And winning by 20 seconds is great, or winning from pole, leading every lap is great. But as a driver, sometimes I know you kind of take more away from a tighter battle and a closer battle. Did you ever feel like you kind of wish that? And I'm not saying you didn't get pushed hard. Obviously, Jacob did a great job all season, but you came out on top more often than not. Was it ever a thought where, like, I don't know, maybe I'd get more out of it as a driver if it was a little bit more of a competition?
Yeah, I think the closer the championship battle is, not only the more emotional you'll feel afterwards, but also I think, yeah, you'll push harder. But I think I'm able to push myself. I don't think I need someone to push me. But would I want it closer? No, I'm happy with that. Like, I think that's the biggest gap they've had in history. I think it was 120 something points from me to Jacob. So. No, I'm happy with that gap.
You have had a chance to sample IndyCar machinery.
Yep.
And what did you think?
It was fun.
Yeah?
It was different. It wasn't honestly what I expected. Well, no, that's a lie. I tested with Andretti about a year ago at Road America. Hopefully another test soon, we'll see. But I think, yeah, for me it was like the downforce levels, stuff that I was kind of used to, because like when we were planning my kind of career path, we intentionally did Euro Formula purely to get ready for IndyCar, because then I knew once I get into IndyCar, downforce wouldn't frighten me.
Right.
Because that thing has a lot of downforce.
Yeah.
You know, it's probably honestly very similar to the IndyCar, just probably half the power.
Right.
So when I was doing, you know, like turn 1 at Road America, it didn't feel
Foreign.
no.
Yeah.
It felt pretty normal and relaxed, and I was able to process it at the speeds we were going around the corners at. I think the biggest thing was the brake pressure. Like, oh my God.
How hard you can hit the pedal.
Yeah, like I was like getting sore legs, so I was
Yeah.
like, I need to do some squats in the off season to get them ready. But I think just once you get into the big cars, because obviously all the junior categories, they're obviously great cars manufactured well, but they're not like an IndyCar. IndyCar is like precision built in every aspect. You know, like in the next car, you pull a gear and you're like clunking.
Yeah.
In the IndyCar, I could close my eyes. If you turned off my headset and I couldn't hear and you close my eyes, I couldn't tell when I'm shifting. The thing doesn't even move. You know, it's just like butter.
Yeah.
It's just stuff like that it was just like, it was such a like enjoyable driver experience to kind of do that. And it was surreal as well at the end of the day. I mean, like, you know, I'm sitting in IndyCar and I'm driving around Road America with Andretti.
One of the best combos you could probably put together.
Exactly. So it was a fun day, and you know, I felt like I did a good job. I think the team was quite impressed with how it went. But yeah, I mean, it was pretty surreal.
So that brings us to the question that everybody wants to know. You've won the championship, you've got the scholarship, you are one of the most talked about young drivers in motorsports. Will we see Louis Foster on the grid in 2025 in IndyCar?
I hope so. I can't tell you anymore.
Is there a percentage? Are we looking at is it a 10 to 1? Is it 5 to 1? What do we think?
I would say there's a very good chance.
Okay.
I'm pretty confident we'll be there.
Is it hopefully going to be a full-time program?
Yep.
Okay.
With some hope, but yeah, obviously nothing's signed yet. But yeah, we're very far along with the team. Pretty much going to be hopefully signing soon, but not done yet. So nothing's done until it's done. Until the ink's on that paper, I'm not going to count my chickens until they're laid.
Okay, so let's say it's done.
Okay.
When it gets done, you come in to your rookie IndyCar season off the back of a record-breaking Indy NXT championship. How do you recalibrate expectations going into the season? Or do you walk in saying, well, I'm gonna win 8 of these races in the championship too?
I think I'd be an idiot if I said that. I don't think anyone like me. I don't know what to expect. I think it's the same for every driver. Most drivers that enter IndyCar, you know, they've spent their entire rookie career winning everything, more or less. And then you get into IndyCar and you're like, P15,
This
yes.
is this is harder than
You know,
than
like
experience.
it's especially if you're not with, you know, a top team. You know, I don't know how. I think obviously you'll have to. I'll adjust my expectations. I think a conversation with my new team would be in order, just to kind of set expectations for the year and goals and targets, so we all have an understanding of what we're aiming for. Because obviously sometimes, you know, obviously you're not always going to be in it to win it sometimes. I mean, you've always got a shot, don't get me wrong, but you know, there's certain times where realistically, you know, a top 5 is what you're aiming for, a top 10 is what you're aiming for. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
So I think it's probably just having a chat in that regards, and just kind of understanding what we're looking to do and what the target for the year is and what the target for myself is, and etc. But yeah, don't get me wrong, it will be weird to kind of be like, yeah.
Happy with a 12.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So, because I don't think I've ever had that experience in my life.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I said, at the end of the day, I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna be thrown in the middle of the pack most likely, which I love, because it reminds me of my days in Andretti Juniors, where it was just nose-to-tail racing the entire race, which I love doing. You know, the one con of winning a lot of things is you tend to be alone a lot of the time. So you end up just basically, your race is just a qualifying session, but
Right.
you've got to do 30 of them instead of 1.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, you know, that's the one negative thing about being up front all the time, is you don't get the racing experience as much as you'd like to, which is why my race at Barber was probably my favorite race this year, because like, I actually got to do some overtaking games of battling, and you know, that's what we're here to do. That's what we love doing.
For sure. Finally, thank you so much for taking the time. We'd be remiss to have this interview without bringing up, again, you're new to a lot of the fans of IndyCar, and we're trying to expose them to you. Anyone who follows you on social media would have noticed a really interesting video about your birthday on a yacht. Any comment on the yacht birthday video you want to make to the people of IndyCar here?
It's my 21st, so
your first
time drinking.
First time drinking ever
in America.
Yep.
And yeah, it was filled with lots of fun.
Yeah, looked awesome.
Yeah, probably pretty dumb things, most likely. But no, it was a nice day with all of my friends in Los Angeles, and then my mate who does videos, Ryan, he edited it up together for me, and I was like, yeah, this is good for the account. Because I know this is my last year of being slightly unprofessional.
Right.
And then next year I can never post something like that.
That's true. That's true.
I was like, I might as well utilize this whilst I can.
Smart. I like that thinking. You're absolutely right. And I think it was absolutely the perfect move. So people get a little bit of a sense of you before the PR machine.
Yeah, the corporate come along, yeah.
Very cool. Well, again, thank you so much for taking the time. Congratulations on a phenomenal season, and all the best for 2025. We're very, very excited to hopefully hear some news soon about you being full-time on the grid.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.
Cheers.